We share our world with an invisible empire. Microscopic creatures too small to see are all around us. They float in the air we breathe, land on the food we eat, and even live inside our bodies. For most of human history, these tiny life forms have gone unnoticed. Yet these invisible neighbors play a powerful role in our lives. They influence our health, our well-being, and even our very survival. As we delve deeper into this unseen world, we begin to discover surprising connections. Allergies, a word that brings to mind a runny nose, sneezing, and itchy eyes. For many, allergies are a modern plague, a consequence of our increasingly sanitized world. This is the story of the hygiene hypothesis, a revolutionary theory that links our modern ailments to the ancient world of parasites and worms. Imagine your body is like a fortress, constantly under attack. Microscopic invaders from viruses to bacteria and parasites are trying to break through your defenses every moment of the day. However, most of the time we remain happily unaware of this constant battle. This remarkable feat is accomplished by our immune system, a complex network of cells and organs that work together to identify and neutralize threats. Like a well-trained army, the immune system is constantly on patrol, looking for anything that doesn't belong. One of the immune system's key strengths lies in its ability to adapt. This immune memory is what allows us to develop immunity to certain diseases after being exposed to them once. The immune system is made up of a diverse cast of characters, each with its own role to play. Some cells act like scouts, patrolling the body and looking for signs of invasion. Others are warriors, engaging in direct combat with pathogens. One of the most important types of immune cells are white blood cells, or leukocytes. These cells are constantly on the move, traveling through the bloodstream and lymphatic system to reach every corner of the body. Phagocytes are the body's first line of defense, engulfing and destroying pathogens and cellular debris. Macrophages, a type of phagocyte, are particularly important in this role. Our immune system is a powerful force, but it needs careful control. An overactive immune response can be just as harmful as an inadequate one, leading to autoimmune diseases where the body attacks its own tissues. The immune system must be able to tell friend from foe, harmless substances from real threats. This delicate balance is maintained by a complex network of signaling molecules and regulatory cells. For most of human history, our immune system evolved in environments teeming with parasites and worms. However, as we've adopted increasingly hygienic lifestyles, our exposure to these organisms has drastically decreased. This change may have had unexpected consequences for our immune system, leaving it unbalanced and prone to overreactions. For thousands of years, humans lived in close contact with the natural world. Among these creatures were parasites, worms that settled in our intestines, feeding on the food we ate and shaping the very environment of our guts. These worms, though often viewed with disgust, were not merely unwelcome guests. They were, for better or worse, an integral part of the human ecosystem. The human body evolved to accommodate these worms, establishing a delicate balance between keeping them under control and avoiding an all-out attack. This coexistence was a defining characteristic of human existence for millennia. In the late 1980s, a British scientist named David Strachan came up with a radical idea. He suggested that the rising number of allergies and autoimmune diseases in developed countries might be linked to our increased cleanliness. This idea, initially met with skepticism, became known as the hygiene hypothesis. Strachan noticed that children who grew up in larger families with more exposure to infections were less likely to develop hay fever. He theorized that early exposure to germs, including parasitic worms, helped to train the immune system. According to the hygiene hypothesis, our modern obsession with cleanliness has come at a cost. With better sanitation and the discovery of antibiotics, the number of parasitic worm infections plummeted in developed countries. This dramatic decline happened at the same time as a sharp rise in allergic diseases, like asthma, eczema, and hay fever. The disappearance of worms from our lives may have left our immune system with too much unused firepower, ready to attack harmless things. This idea sparked a wave of research into the complex relationship between our immune system, our environment, and the tiny living things we share our world with. Intestinal worms, despite their unpleasant reputation, are masters of survival. Over millions of years of evolution, they've developed clever strategies to thrive inside the human body. One of their main tactics involves manipulating the very system designed to get rid of them, our immune system. These worms actively release a mixture of molecules that interact with our immune cells, dampening the immune response. These molecules act like decoys, distracting the immune system and preventing it from launching a full-blown attack. They don't want to destroy their host, they want to live comfortably inside it. This immune suppression, while good for the worm, has big implications for the human host. By keeping the immune system on low alert, these worms can actually prevent it from overreacting to other, less harmful things. This idea is backed up by studies that show people infected with certain kinds of intestinal worms have lower rates of allergies and autoimmune diseases. It seems like the immune system used to these worms is less likely to overreact to other triggers. Exposure to worms might help fine-tune its sensitivity. The same idea can apply to the immune system. As we've progressed as a species, our living conditions have drastically improved. We have access to clean water, sanitation systems, and effective medical treatments. These advancements have saved countless lives and dramatically increased our lifespan. However, this progress has come at a cost: the near eradication of parasitic worms from our lives. Without these old friends to keep them in check, our immune responses have become oversensitive. This, in essence, is the core of the hygiene hypothesis. The 20th century saw an unprecedented rise in allergic diseases, particularly in developed countries. Asthma rates skyrocketed, eczema became increasingly common, and allergic rhinitis, or hay fever, affected a growing percentage of the population. This allergy epidemic coincided with dramatic improvements in sanitation, hygiene, and healthcare. Our immune systems, deprived of their old sparring partners, the worms and parasites, began to malfunction. Imagine a pack of vigilant guard dogs, bred for generations to defend a fortress against invaders. Suddenly the invaders disappear, leaving the dogs with nothing to do but patrol the empty grounds. This, in essence, is what may be happening inside our bodies. The telltale signs of an allergic reaction, sneezing, itching, inflammation, are not the result of a weak immune system, but rather a misguided one. When our bodies encounter an allergen, the immune system mistakenly identifies it as a threat. This triggers a cascade of events, as if a microscopic alarm bell has been sounded. Immune cells, primed for battle, release a flood of chemicals including histamine into the bloodstream. These chemicals, although meant to fight off invaders, cause the uncomfortable symptoms we associate with allergies. Histamine, in particular, is responsible for many of the classic allergy symptoms. Imagine for a moment the microscopic world inside your own body. It's a bustling metropolis, a complex network of tissues, cells, and fluids, all working together to keep you alive and thriving. Now, imagine an allergen, a seemingly harmless particle like pollen or dust mite droppings entering this intricate world. For the immune system, already on high alert, this tiny invader is a red flag, a signal to mobilize its forces. The first line of defense in this microscopic battle is often the mucous membranes that line our airways and digestive tract. These membranes, coated with a sticky layer of mucus, act like a fly trap, catching foreign particles before they can penetrate deeper into the body. But some allergens, particularly those small enough or equipped with the right tools, manage to bypass this initial barrier. Once an allergen breaches this first line of defense, it encounters a formidable army of immune cells, each with its specialized role in defending the body. When an allergen connects to a mast cell's receptor, it starts a chain reaction of molecular events, like dominoes falling, leading to the release of a flood of inflammatory chemicals. One of the most powerful of these chemicals is histamine, stored in tiny granules inside the mast cell, ready to be released at any moment. Histamine, once released, acts like a chemical beacon, sending a distress signal throughout the surrounding tissues. It attaches to receptors on nearby cells, setting off a series of responses that contribute to the typical symptoms of an allergic reaction. One of histamine's primary targets is the smooth muscle surrounding blood vessels. It causes these muscles to relax, widening the blood vessels and increasing blood flow to the area. This increased blood flow is responsible for the redness and warmth often associated with allergic reactions, as more blood rushes to the site of the supposed invasion. But histamine's effects don't stop there. It also increases the permeability of blood vessels, essentially making them leakier. This allows fluid from the bloodstream to leak into the surrounding tissues, causing swelling, another hallmark of allergic reactions. This swelling can be localized, as in the case of a mosquito bite, or more widespread, as in the case of angioedema, a severe allergic reaction that can cause swelling of the face, lips, and tongue. The hygiene hypothesis, while still being researched, has changed how we think about allergies and autoimmune diseases. We used to think these conditions were just flaws in our immune system. Now, we're starting to see them as possible outcomes of how humans evolved and our modern lifestyles. This new understanding opens up exciting possibilities for preventing and treating these conditions. It's not just about suppressing the immune system, but working with it, restoring some of the balance we may have lost. Imagine a future where we can use the power of our ancient relationship with parasites, not by putting these organisms back into our bodies, but by figuring out the specific molecules they use to control our immune system. These molecules, carefully separated and given in controlled doses, could be the key to retraining our immune system. We could teach it to tolerate the harmless substances that trigger allergies and to stop attacking our own tissues. This isn't science fiction, it's the real frontier of immune research. Scientists all over the world are working to develop new therapies based on the hygiene hypothesis. These therapies could one day offer relief to millions suffering from allergies, asthma, and autoimmune diseases. The future of our defenses may not lie in fighting against every perceived threat, but in rediscovering the ancient art of coexistence. It's about finding a balance between our immune system and the microscopic world that has shaped us for millennia.